Have you ever felt a strange energy in the air? Like someone was thinking intensely about you? Or had that inexplicable sensation that someone from your past still carries something unresolved related to you? There's a truth that Carl Jung discovered through decades of studying the human unconscious. When someone can't get over you, it creates ripples in reality that manifest in ways that defy common logic. I'm not just talking about missing you or nostalgic memories. I'm referring to something much deeper and more disturbing. An unconscious obsession that generates psychological and energetic phenomena detectable in the physical world. Jung called these events manifestations of the unresolved complex, a psychic energy that remains active and influential even at a distance. When someone truly hasn't gotten over you, that person becomes an emotional antenna directed toward you, transmitting frequencies that can be picked up in surprising ways. And in this video, I'm going to reveal the 7 strangest and most undeniable manifestations that happen when someone clearly hasn't been able to forget you or move on. The first strange thing that happens is something that will leave you unsettled. You begin to experience recurring and vivid dreams with this person. But these aren't ordinary dreams. Carl Jung believed that the collective unconscious was a shared information field where all consciousnesses connect. When someone hasn't gotten over you, the obsessive intensity of that person's thoughts creates waves in the psychic field that can literally invade your dreams. These dreams have very specific characteristics that differentiate them from normal dreams. First, they possess a hyper-realistic quality that makes you wake up confused about whether that actually happened or not. The person appears in your dreams not as a distorted memory, but as a living, conscious presence, almost as if they were actually projecting themselves into your dream space. You might dream of conversations that never happened, situations that seem to have a life of their own, or simply feel that person's presence so intensely that you wake up with the impression they were physically there. Jung explained that when someone keeps a person constantly in obsessive thoughts, especially when these thoughts are loaded with unresolved emotions like love, anger, resentment, or desire, it creates what he called psychic bridges. These bridges allow one person's emotional energy to cross the invisible dimensions of consciousness and manifest in another's dream experience. What's most disturbing is that these dreams often contain information you shouldn't know. You might dream that the person is going through a specific situation, facing a particular problem, or living through a moment that you later discover actually happened. It's as if that person's obsession created a direct communication channel through the collective unconscious. Many people report waking from these dreams with a strange physical sensation, as if they had been energetically visited. Some feel a weight on their chest, others a sensation that someone had been in the room, and there are those who wake up with emotions that clearly aren't their own. This happens because, according to Jung, when someone thinks obsessively about you, especially during sleep when psychic barriers are lower, that energy can literally project itself through the invisible dimensions of reality. The second strange manifestation is even more unsettling. You begin to be bombarded by synchronicities related to this person with a frequency that defies any rational explanation. Carl Jung defined synchronicity as meaningful coincidences that reveal a hidden order in reality. But when someone hasn't gotten over you, these synchronicities become a coordinated avalanche of events that seem orchestrated by a higher intelligence. Suddenly, you start seeing this person's name in impossible places. I'm not talking about 1 or 2 coincidences, but a daily sequence of manifestations that becomes disturbing. You might be walking down the street and pass a sign with their name, enter a coffee shop and hear someone being called by the same name, receive an email that was mistakenly sent to you but was intended for someone with the identical name. The universe seems to conspire to keep this person constantly in your consciousness. But the synchronicities don't stop there. You might be in a bookstore, and a book they recommended years ago simply falls off the shelf in front of you. You could be channel surfing on television and stop exactly on a show you used to watch together. Or be listening to the radio, and a song that has specific meaning in your relationship plays, always at the most unlikely moments. Jung explained that the obsessive mind of someone who hasn't gotten over you functions like a psychic magnet that attracts events, situations, and symbols related to the person who is the object of obsession. It's as if the intense emotional energy created fields of attraction that magnetically pull into your reality everything that has a connection to that person. I once had a friend, let's call her Sarah, who went through a situation that perfectly illustrates this phenomenon. She had ended an intense relationship over a year before, but suspected that her ex-boyfriend hadn't really moved on. Suddenly, Sarah began to be bombarded by synchronicities related to him. In 1 week, she encountered 3 different people with his same name, received an email advertisement from a company where he worked, happened to pass in front of the restaurant where they had their first date exactly when the song that was special to them was playing, and on top of that, her sister called mentioning a place that had everything to do with a trip they had taken together. What's most impressive is that these synchronicities often come in waves. You can go weeks without thinking about this person, and suddenly, in 2 or 3 days, you're bombarded by a sequence of events related to them that simply cannot be coincidence. This happens because obsessive energy isn't constant, it has cycles, and when it reaches intensity peaks, synchronistic manifestations multiply exponentially. The third strange thing that happens is something that goes against all logic. You begin to be haunted by inexplicable energetic presences. Jung studied deeply what he called unconscious astral projection, and discovered that when someone keeps another person constantly in obsessive thoughts, it can generate detectable energetic manifestations. You might be at home, completely relaxed, when suddenly you feel a familiar presence in the environment. It's not paranoia or imagination. It's a real physical sensation that someone is there, even though you rationally know you're alone. Some people report feeling the person's characteristic perfume. Others feel changes in room temperature. And there are those who notice subtle alterations in the energy of the space. The most common phenomenon is what Jung called telepathic presence. You're doing your normal activities when, for no apparent reason, you feel an inexplicable certainty that this specific person is thinking about you at that exact moment. It's not a vague suspicion but a clear and defined perception, almost as if you could feel their thoughts being directed toward you through space. This can happen anywhere, at work, in traffic, at home, at the gym. Suddenly, you're invaded by a sensation that you're being energetically observed, that someone is focusing on you with intensity through the invisible dimension of thoughts. Jung explained that this happens because the obsessive mind emits specific electromagnetic frequencies that can be picked up by the nervous system of sensitive people. Some people begin to have even more intense experiences. They report hearing their name being called when they're alone, feeling subtle touches that have no physical origin, or having the impression that someone passed near them when there's no one around. These phenomena are more common in people who have greater energetic sensitivity, but they can happen to anyone when the other person's obsession reaches very high levels. The fourth strange manifestation is perhaps the most disturbing of all. You develop a supernatural intuition about this person's life. Jung discovered that obsessive connections create telepathic channels through which information flows inexplicably. Suddenly, you simply know things about their life that you shouldn't know. It might be a sudden insight that they're going through a difficult time, an inexplicable certainty that they changed jobs, or even a clear perception that they're getting involved with someone new. This information reaches you not through social media, comments from mutual friends, or any logical source. It simply emerges in your consciousness as direct knowledge. This happens because, according to Jung, when someone can't get over you, they maintain an active psychic connection that functions like an information transmission line. The obsession creates such an intense state of attunement that you end up sharing a common consciousness field, allowing data about their life to flow directly into your perception. What's most impressive is that these intuitions are almost always accurate. You might have the sensation that they're sad on a specific day, and later discover that it was exactly when they went through something difficult, or feel an inexplicable joy, and later learn that they received important news during that same period. It's as if you maintained an active emotional connection that transcends physical distance and time. Jung told in one of his interviews that a patient of his experienced something that perfectly exemplifies this phenomenon. She had ended a complicated relationship 2 years before, but always suspected that her ex hadn't been able to move on completely. This woman began to have sudden insights about his life with disturbing precision. On a Tuesday afternoon, she had the inexplicable certainty that he was in a hospital. The sensation was so strong that she almost called to make sure everything was okay. 2 weeks later, through a mutual friend, she discovered that he had gone through emergency surgery exactly on that day. These episodes of intuitive knowledge can intensify during specific moments, anniversaries, important dates, or periods when the person is going through significant life transitions. It's as if the obsessive energy amplified during these periods, making information transmission even clearer and more detailed. The fifth strange thing that happens is something that will mess with your peace of mind. Your electronic devices begin to show anomalous behaviors always related to this person. Jung didn't live in the digital age, but the principles he discovered about consciousness's influence on physical reality manifest in fascinating ways through modern technology. You might be using your phone normally when suddenly an old photo of them appears in the gallery, even though you're sure you deleted everything. Or be browsing the internet and the browser automatically opens a page related to something you shared. Apps might start suggesting content connected to them in a persistent and inexplicable way. The most common phenomenon is phantom calls. Your phone rings, you answer, but there's no one on the line. When you check, there's no record of a received call. Or even stranger, your phone might display their name as if they were calling, but when you answer, the call drops immediately, and there's no record that the call existed. Old messages might mysteriously reappear on the screen. Notifications might arise from apps related to them even when you haven't opened them. Or your phone might start playing songs that were meaningful to your relationship, even when you have random playback activated. Jung would explain these events through the concept of unconscious psychokinesis. When someone keeps you constantly in obsessive thoughts, especially if these thoughts are loaded with intense emotion, that energy can influence electromagnetic fields in subtle but detectable ways. The human heart generates the body's strongest electromagnetic field, and when someone focuses on you obsessively, that amplified energy can create interferences in electronic devices you use. Computers might open files you created together, social networks might suggest their page even when you never searched for it, or your GPS might start suggesting routes that pass through places significant to your relationship. These technological events are especially disturbing because they challenge our rational understanding of how reality works. The sixth strange manifestation is something that will make you question what's real. You develop an energetic hypersensitivity in places that were significant to the relationship. Jung studied deeply how locations can absorb and retain psychic impressions, especially when they were scenes of intense emotions. Whenever you pass near places where you were together, you feel an immediate alteration in your energy field. It might be the restaurant where you used to have dinner, the street where they lived, the park where you walked, or even areas of the city that were frequented by you both. In these places, you experience inexplicable physical sensations. Changes in body temperature, heart acceleration for no reason, a sensation of weight in your chest, or even sudden and inexplicable euphoria. This happens because, according to Jung, when someone hasn't gotten over you, they keep these places energetically charged with the emotional memory of the relationship. It's as if their obsession created persistent energy fields in these places, which are activated whenever you approach. What's strangest is that this sensitivity can extend to places you didn't even know were significant. You might be walking down any street and feel an inexplicable energetic alteration, only to discover later that it was near their new job, or close to a place they started frequenting after the relationship ended. Some people report even more intense experiences, seeing familiar shadows in significant places, feeling presences when they're in these locations, or having sudden emotional flashbacks that don't correspond to their own memories, but rather to the feelings that the other person still maintains about those places. The seventh and final strange thing that happens is the most revealing of all. You become a magnet for people who are energetic mirrors of this person who hasn't gotten over you. Jung believed in the concept of morphogenetic resonance, the idea that energy patterns tend to attract similar manifestations. In an apparently inexplicable way, you begin to attract people who have physical, emotional, or behavioral characteristics very similar to the one who couldn't forget you. It might be someone with similar physical appearance, with the same name, with similar personality traits, or even with life stories that echo aspects of the relationship you had. This doesn't happen once or twice. It becomes a recurring pattern that defies any explanation based on coincidence. You might be in completely different social situations and always find people who, somehow, remind you of them. Not just physically, but energetically. As if the universe were constantly placing you in front of alternative versions of the person who couldn't get over you. Jung explained that this happens because the obsessive energy of someone who hasn't gotten over you creates a magnetic field around you that attracts similar manifestations. It's as if the intensity of their thoughts about you created a specific frequency that resonates with people who carry similar characteristics. What's most disturbing is that these people often show an inexplicable interest in you, as if they were unconsciously attracted by the same energy that keeps the other person connected to you. They might approach in ways that echo exactly the behavioral patterns of the person who hasn't gotten over you, creating situations that seem strangely familiar. Some of these people might even mention dreams where you appear, or feel like they already know you from somewhere, even when it's your first meeting. This happens because, according to Jung, They're picking up energetic echoes of the obsession that the other person maintains about you, creating an indirect psychic connection. These 7 strange manifestations aren't isolated coincidences. They form a coordinated pattern that reveals the disturbing truth about the power of human obsession. When someone truly can't get over you, it creates ripples in reality that manifest in ways that challenge our rational understanding of the world. Carl Jung taught us that the human psyche operates on levels much deeper and more interconnected than conventional science is willing to recognize. Obsession isn't just an internal mental state. It's an active force that influences energy fields, creates telepathic bridges, and manifests synchronistic events that serve as evidence of the truly interconnected nature of human consciousness. If you recognized several or all of these manifestations in your own experience, know that you're not imagining things. You're being the receiver of an obsessive energy that someone couldn't resolve or overcome. This person keeps you energetically active in their reality through thoughts, emotions, and projections that transcend the apparent limitations of time and physical space. The question isn't whether these phenomena are real. Jung proved decades ago that they are genuine manifestations of deep psychological principles. The question is what to do with this information. First, it's important to recognize that you have no control over another person's obsession. You can't force someone to get over you or move on, but you can protect your own energy and establish clear psychic boundaries. Practices like meditation, energetic protection visualization, and spiritual cleansing techniques can help diminish the intensity of these manifestations. When you strengthen your own energy field and establish clear boundaries on subtle levels, external influences have less power over your reality. It's also crucial to understand that these experiences, however unsettling they may be, can serve as catalysts for your own spiritual growth. They force you to expand your understanding of reality, develop more refined sensitivities, and recognize the deeply interconnected nature of human experience. Jung always emphasized that the most disturbing phenomena of our psychological experience often carry the keys to our greatest growth and evolution. When someone can't get over you, it creates a unique opportunity for you to develop a deeper understanding of the mysteries of human consciousness and the truly energetic nature of reality. Another person's obsession with you isn't a curse. It's a mirror that reflects aspects of human experience that most people never have the opportunity to observe directly. Use these experiences as a window into more subtle dimensions of existence, as an initiation into the deeper mysteries of how consciousness really works. And remember, if someone couldn't get over you, that's about their psychological journey, not about your value or importance as a person. You simply became a symbol, a projection, an object of fixation that represents something unresolved in that person's psyche. Your responsibility is to maintain your own energetic integrity and continue your personal growth journey, regardless of how many ripples your existence might be creating in another person's reality. The universe has mysterious ways of teaching us about the interconnected nature of human experience. When you understand these 7 strange manifestations, not as attacks or interferences, but as evidence of the extraordinary power of human consciousness, you can transform what seemed disturbing into an opportunity for profound spiritual awakening. If this content resonated with your experience and you recognize these patterns in your own life, leave in the comments. The power of the mind is real. That way, I'll know you understood the depth of these teachings from Jung and are ready to explore even more mysteries of human consciousness. And if this content truly touched you, consider supporting the channel by clicking the thanks button below. Your contribution allows me to continue producing deep content about the soul, transformation, and rebirth. Every support, however small, makes a real difference and is received with much gratitude. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of discovery about the deepest and most inexplicable aspects of human psychological experience.